Hi, my name is Annissa Hamman, and today I'll be presenting my Ethnobiography creative project, titled Who Am I? The Stories That Shape Us. So, for an introduction, my name is Annissa Hamman, and I was born and raised in Davis, California. I identify as mixed, and I'm Mexican and white. I'm 21 years old and a student majoring in psychology at UC Davis. Some traits I would use to describe myself are that I'm an introvert, I am passionate, I'm creative, and I am detail oriented. I am shaped by my experiences, and the challenge I have faced have made me who I am today. In this ethnobiography, I will be exploring my personal and ethnic identities. And here I've included a quote from week 2's lecture 1 on mestizo psychology. The search for self-knowledge, individual identity, and life meaning is a principal goal. First, I will start by explaining a very important person in my life that has shaped who I am and is the one that taught me about my Mexican culture. I feel very lucky to be Mexican and to have grown up with so much love. It is my grandma, who I call Mama, who taught me my love for my Mexican culture through her love, her food, and her words. When I think about Mama, I think of the many regalos she's given me. She gifted me with the love for my Mexican culture, and she's the reason for many of my family's traditions. Even though she has now passed, the gifts that she's given my family will never fade. The love that she showed me is a regalo I'll never forget. Her memories and words stay with me and have shaped who I am. The gifts Mama has left my family and I live through our traditions and our gatherings. I cherish every moment I spent with her and hope to carry the gifts that she's given me down to my own children someday. Mama's gifts are truly timeless and have enriched my life beyond measure. I connected this to week 4's lecture 2 on cargas y regalos from slide 2. I included this quote, "The gift of enculturating us into the traditions of our families and culture." I believe she's the reason why my cousins and I have such an appreciation for our culture, and she's the reason for so many of the most important traditions in my family. Who am I? Personal and ethnic identity. In this slide, I've included some important concepts that I tied into the theme of this slide. I'll read some of them to tie it into my paragraph. I've included from week 3's lecture 1 on intersectional identities, social comparison. It is the meaning of a person's group affiliation or group status, and it may change depending on their comparison to others. And from chapter 2 of the class textbook, I included, according to Erikson, one of the most central and complex tasks of human development is to gain an understanding of one's personal and collective identities. On the bottom, I've included a part of my personal identity. I also have included a part of my Who Am I poem. I am a daughter, I am a granddaughter, I am a cousin, I am mixed, I am a student at UC Davis, I'm a first-generation student, I am a Christian, I am an introvert, and I am creative. These are all a part of my identity, what I write down when I'm asked who am I. While many of these characteristics have remained the same, I'm constantly developing a clearer image of who I am and what has shaped me. According to Erikson, developing an understanding of one's identity is one of the most complex tasks, which I'm realizing as I get older. One important part of how I identify is that I identify as mixed, Mexican and white. When I was younger, I probably wouldn't have had a quick response. I would have thought that I could only select one, but it is being both that shapes me. When I was younger, I used to feel conflicted between the two. I used to feel more white or more Mexican some days, and other days I used to wish I wasn't mixed. One theme relevant to my experience is social comparison, defined in Professor Flores' lecture as the meaning of a person's group affiliation or group status. that may change depending on their comparison to others. From Week 3, Lecture 1, Intersectional Identities. I used to compare myself to those around me, which often made me question both my personal and my ethnic identity more. When comparing myself to others, I used to feel unworthy of defining myself as Mexican, because I wasn't Mexican enough. After all, I'm half white. It used to be a constant back and forth. Looking back, I realize now I have a much clearer image of both my personal and ethnic identity, and I've learned to avoid comparison. My personal and social identities. Here I've included 2 quotes from Profesora Flores' lectures, one on social identity and one on personal identity, to tie into my paragraph. My personal identity is shaped by my unique experiences, characteristics, and memories. I am who I am today because of both the challenges I faced and the way I was raised. As mentioned in Week 3's lecture, our personal identity is the result of family socialization, with of course language, culture, and social structures playing a role as well. Family socialization is a large factor at hand. My family were the ones I socialized with first. I learned many of my values, behaviors, and beliefs from my parents and close family. Some aspects of my personal identity that shape me are that I'm Christian, I am patient, I'm an introvert, my primary language is English, and I'm American. My personal identity is shaped by my experiences, my family, my upbringing, and my culture. I would say that my family have had the most direct impact on my personal identity. For example, my parents were the ones who taught me how to behave, to be courteous, to be kind, and were my first form of socialization. Social identity, as mentioned in Week 3's Lecture 1, is derived from 3 social psychological processes. Some aspects of my social identity include I am mixed, I am a woman, I am American, I speak English, I am a student, I am straight, I'm 21, and my family is middle class. My childhood and my family. Here I've included a quote from Week 6, Lecture 1 on parenting, on interdependence, as that's a value of my family that I've included in my paragraph. Rooted in collectivist ideas, Latinx parents tend to emphasize interdependence, connection, and loyalty to family over individuality and self-control. Just like the quote above, my mom's side of the family greatly values interdependence and family connection, which has become one of my values as well. The interdependence and connection that is rooted in collectivist ideas has been a visible priority in my family. I've always felt a strong connection to my family, with interdependence being more valuable than individuality. Whenever I have faced a challenge, I don't go through it alone. My family's by my side and will help me through it. We value staying connected. I've also included my parents' parenting style as I was growing up for my childhood. Growing up, I would describe my parents' parenting style as authoritative. My parents were never harsh, but my brother and I knew their views and their rules. A trait of authoritative parenting is enforcing strong views with room for flexibility and making room for negotiation. From Week 6, Lecture 1 on parenting. Because of my parents' authoritative parenting, we knew what was expected, but grew up feeling comfortable negotiating and expressing ourselves. I have always been close with my parents, and if their parenting style had been different, I likely would have had more negative experiences. I value interdependence and connection because I believe it leads to closeness and comfort. Family is my top value because they are the ones I've always felt closest with. I've also tied one of my slides into more of the health and mental health themes that were presented in this course. I've identified some health challenges that I faced, as well as some of my sources of resilience and strength. I've also included important quotes to tie into the theme of this slide. I'll read some of them that I think are very important to this slide. Importance of family, or familismo. Family members are consulted for health decisions, and they are involved in attending appointments and taking care of family members. I included this because I think this is a very central idea to my family and I's way of taking care of health and also just taking care of each other. We're very involved, and we value making health decisions together because health is a top priority. I've also included some sources of resilience here in the quotes, like the church. And now I'll read my paragraph. Health and resilience is a very relevant theme in my life. I've faced both mental health and physical health challenges, but they've shaped who I am and made me discover sources of resilience that I hold tight to. When I was 11, I was diagnosed with ulcerative colitis, otherwise known as inflammatory bowel disease, a chronic disease that impacts my immune system. Looking back, I think of how resilient I was, especially since I was only a child. I spent weeks in the hospital, and most of the time I still had a smile on my face. I was very sick, but my sources of strength and resilience were stronger than my illness, and it is because of them that I was able to stay so strong. The number one source of strength in my times of health challenges is my family. My family never leaves my side and is always there for me. I think that familismo, mentioned in the textbook as an ideology that puts priority to family. Familismo is what gave me strength and quickly became a source of resilience for me. I still recall when I was going through a bad flare-up and my family asked for the church to pray for me. They gathered and prayed over my Aunt Pita, who had cancer, and I. The church and prayer was an important source of emotional support and strength. Throughout this, I faced anxiety and still do. In times of mental health struggles, I've been able to lean on these sources of resilience and stay strong. And here I've included the 7 sources for the work cited. Thank you.